They showed the lap times, they broadcast the tire compounds, but what they didn't air, the line that told the real story, was Lewis Hamilton's quiet admission, "The car doesn't give me good feelings." 10 words, softly, spoken, almost tossed away, but in the paddock, they hit like a spark near dry leaves. Free practice 1 in Hungary was meant to showcase Ferrari's comeback. The moment they proved the momentum was real. Instead, what we got was a glimpse into Hamilton's doubt. Not frustration, not anger, just detachment. And that's more dangerous than anything. Engineer Riccardo Adami radioed in, "Do you want to go again?" Hamilton's reply came without hesitation, "No, the car doesn't give me good feelings." Adami paused, then said only, "Okay," no deeper questions, no analysis, just radio silence. But in Formula One, silence is never empty. It's heavy. It says what the data doesn't. And in this case, it said something was broken, not in the setup, but in the connection. Ferrari had just extended team boss Fred Vassar's contract, a move that screams stability. But Hamilton, he knows the sport too well. He knows that stability without chemistry is just inertia with a press release. This wasn't a technical complaint. It was emotional. A signal that something fundamental wasn't clicking. Ferrari may be celebrating continuity, but Hamilton's subtle resistance suggested otherwise. It echoed moments from a past Ferrari would rather forget, like the early days at Mercedes, when Hamilton's tone turned short, flat, vague, not because the car was bad, but because he no longer felt in sync with it. He wasn't asking for downforce or tire pressures. He was asking for trust. At Spa, Charles Leclerc soared thanks to a reworked rear suspension. Hamilton, meanwhile, labored to a P7 finish that felt more like endurance than ambition. He climbed the ranks, sure, but barely spoke a word on the radio while doing it. And when Hamilton goes quiet during a session, it's never random. That's when he's watching, logging, diagnosing, preparing the case file. So his FP1 quote in Hungary wasn't just offhand. It was strategic. It came after Vassar's contract renewal, before Ferrari's next upgrade package, and right when optimism was starting to bloom in Maranello. Instead of joining the celebration, Hamilton drew a quiet underline beneath his doubts. Not a protest, not a meltdown, just the faint outline of a pattern Ferrari engineers have seen before, and some now whisper about behind closed doors. Back in 2016, it started with a steering rack change at Mercedes. Now, a new chapter might be starting in red, only this time, Hamilton isn't adapting to a title-winning machine. He's deciding whether this machine can ever feel like his. Lewis Hamilton isn't just trying to fix a car. He's trying to rescue a relationship, one that feels broken from the inside out. Inside the Ferrari garage on Friday evening, engineers swarmed over data logs, trying to explain his discomfort through damper stiffness, brake migration, or ride height calculations. Business as usual. But then one voice broke through the technical murmur. A performance analyst, not just any, but one with a background in behavioral telemetry, paused the room with a single sentence. "This isn't a setup issue. It's a trust issue." The words hung there like static before a storm, because in Maranello, where data is scripture and politics eternal, calling something emotional, that's crossing a line. But it rang true. Lewis never said understeer. He didn't ask for front wing tweaks or tire pressure checks. He simply said, "The car doesn't give me good feelings." That's not about grip. That's about belief. And anyone who's followed Hamilton closely knows this. Emotional discomfort often precedes mechanical decline. It's a warning flare, and this analyst saw it in the numbers. On the traces, Hamilton's braking was precise. His throttle application was smooth. But in high-speed directional changes, there was just a flicker, milliseconds of hesitation. Not in reaction time, in trust. He waited a fraction longer than usual to commit the rear. On TV, invisible. In the telemetry, loud and clear. But the next day, the analyst was gone, reassigned to simulator duty for Saturday. No explanation, no public notice. Just moved, insiders whispered, not about setup anymore, but about suppression. Because when a technical voice is silenced after making an emotional observation, you're no longer managing performance, you're managing narrative. Ferrari will call it logistics, simulator reallocation, but those in the know saw a red flag raised just as Hamilton's unease became visible. Here's the deeper truth. Lewis's instincts shape more than his own laps. They ripple through the garage, affecting philosophy, direction, even morale. Every moment of hesitation, every clipped radio message becomes a referendum on whether the SF-25 is progressing or simply pretending to. On Saturday morning, as the simulator fed fresh data back into the garage, one phrase kept surfacing: he's not overdriving, he's underbelieving. That distinction matters. Technically, the SF-25 may be reacting to upgrades, but emotionally, it hasn't earned Hamilton's faith, so every lap becomes a struggle, not just with grip or setup, but with trust. Trust in the car, trust in the team, trust in a project that still feels built for someone else's rhythm. Because while Leclerc pushes the front early and adjusts on the fly, Hamilton waits for confirmation for the car to talk back, and right now, Ferrari's answers come too late, or not at all. On the surface, FP to look clean. Hamilton logged laps, offered polite feedback. The pit wall marked the session as productive. But a closer look told another story. Midway through his long run, lap 10 to be exact, Hamilton quietly switched to brake map 7. No announcement, no inquiry, just a mid-corner flick of a dial. That map is rarely used outside of experimental test runs. It doesn't just adjust brake balance. It changes the regenerative braking profile, shifting the car's confidence forward, reducing reliance on rear stability. Translation, it's what Lewis uses when he no longer trusts the rear. And Ferrari? They didn't mention the switch in the official post-session release. But if you watch the onboard overlays closely, it was there, a message in code. Some engineers recognized it instantly. Baku, 2019, Mercedes. Hamilton made the same adjustment when the team refused to soften the rear suspension. So what's he doing now? Testing the car or testing the team? Because brake map 7 wasn't just a setting, it was a statement. If you won't listen, I'll do it my way. While Hamilton ran silent experiments, Charles Leclerc made a different move, one equally calculated, but far more polished. In his FP to debrief, sources say Charles described the SF-25's balance as finely aligned with my inputs. On paper, neutral, professional, but the timing, sharp as a knife, because he'd seen the same data. He'd noticed Hamilton's silence, the brake map shift, the growing disconnection. And so Leclerc's comment wasn't just satisfaction, it was strategy, a declaration: I'm in sync. He isn't. Now the garage feels quietly divided. 2 drivers, 2 styles, 1 car, and engineers are being forced to choose, optimize for Hamilton's intuition, or double down on Leclerc's precision. It's no longer just a technical choice, it's a philosophical one that will define not just Hungary, but Ferrari's direction heading into 2026. As always, Ferrari published a clean, polished technical bulletin Friday night. Tire strategy, wind sensitivity, average stint pace, control, curated, clinical. But there was one document missing this time, and its absence spoke louder than anything Ferrari chose to say. The simulator comparisons told a story few at Ferrari wanted to hear. Behind closed